A dramatic new lead in the hunt for the Zodiac killer.
Hi, Mike. Do you remember me?
No, I don't.
Come here.
A grieving young woman confronts the one man who may know the identity of her sister's killer.
You can't tell me you can't, Mike. I know you know who did it. I know you do.
The maniac she's trying to track down is the Zodiac, one of America's most notorious serial killers. A deadly phantom who's eluded cops for more than 20 years. Now this woman's detective work.
It took me all this time to find you, and I want you to help me, and I know you can.
And a little sleuthing of our own may finally pay off.
Mike Mageau may know much more than he's told the police.
Now it can be told as we follow the sign of the Zodiac to the man who knew too much. Welcome, everybody. I'm Geraldo Rivera, high in the hills over Hollywood. From here, you can actually look down and see the stars. And we'll be doing a lot of that later in the program. But up front today, a story that began 300 miles north of here. Several months ago, you may recall, an intensive, now it can be told, investigation revealed that San Francisco's infamous Zodiac killer did not choose his victims at random, as the police originally believed. We discovered evidence showing involvement with drugs, the occult, and even the grim possibility of an accomplice. Well, we've continued to look into this 20-year-old mystery. And now we've zeroed in on the one man who may actually know the identity of the maniac. Our Alexander Johnson picks up the trail with the help of one of the victim's sisters.
Geraldo, the most important finding in our first report was that Zodiac knew at least one of his victims, a 22-year-old waitress named Darlene Farron. There was a motive behind her killing, which means there is a trail that could finally lead to the capture of the elusive Zodiac.
I see the moon rising. I see trouble on.
In the late 60s and early 70s, a deranged phantom calling himself the Zodiac wrote taunting letters to the California press and police. He typically struck at night in deserted lovers' lanes. But in one instance, he executed a cab driver on a San Francisco street. And in another, he donned the ritual costume and ravaged 2 students with a knife near a lake in broad daylight. There were 5 known dead and maybe more, and 2 seriously wounded. Numerous police jurisdictions were involved in the manhunt. We focused on Zodiac's second attack, the murder of Darlene Farron and the wounding of her companion, Mike Mageau, shot in a golf course parking lot in the San Francisco suburb of Vallejo at midnight on July 4th, 1969. Now investigative reporter Maury Terry.
Someone Darlene knew and feared had been following her around Vallejo for months. And that last night, she had an argument in the parking lot outside the restaurant where she worked with an unidentified man. From there, she hurried home and then rushed over to Mike Mageau's house, from where the 2 were followed or maybe even chased out to that parking lot where the shooting went down. It certainly was not a random hit. And it seems pretty clear that Mike Mageau may know much more than he has told the police.
Mageau has been in hiding for more than 20 years. We obtained this exclusive undercover video after months of tracking him. In an emotional and dramatic meeting, Darlene Farron's sister, Pam Huckabee, approached a man she hadn't seen in more than 2 decades.
Hi, Mike.
Hi.
Do you remember me?
No, I don't.
Come here. I'm Darlene's sister, Pam.
Oh, hi, Pam.
I'd like to talk to you. You know, Mike, there was a man that Darlene was very afraid of. That hung around Darlene. That I got to meet. That I got to see around her. And I believe you know who he is. Do you?
Yeah, I know a lot of that's been so long ago. I don't remember a lot of his names, to be honest.
It took me all this time to find you. And I want you to help me, and I know you can. You can't tell me you can't. You can't tell me you can't, Mike. I know you know who did it. I know you do.
But Mageau was not helpful. Retired Vallejo detective Ed Rust worked the case and is convinced that Mageau knew more.
I don't think he's telling the truth. I think, and I always have thought there's something that he's holding back, whether it's from a more, bigger degree of his involvement in whatever happened or just plain pure fear.
It was Mageau who told the police that the gunman called Darlene by her nickname before firing. After her death, there were rumors that she knew about drug dealing in Vallejo, that she belonged to a cult group, had seen a murder, and was killed for that reason. We confirmed that Darlene was immersed in the occult, and made frequent trips to San Francisco's Haight-Ashbury district, a mecca for Satanism and witchcraft.
Not only Darlene's, but it's quite likely that some of these other Zodiac killings, to my way of thinking, may have involved other motives, and they were done in such a manner as to make it appear a random killing. And really, what better way to divert attention?
Indeed, the police were diverted, at least publicly. After the Farron Mageau shooting, Zodiac called the Vallejo PD claiming credit for that attack and won 6 months earlier on a high school couple. For years, authorities have asserted that there is no recording of that call. Yet at one time, there was. Former Vallejo patrolman Steve Baldino.
I heard the tape. This dispatcher let me hear it. I believe it was the next night. Apparently that tape is no longer there. But it did, in fact, exist because I did hear it.
So where is that tape and why did it mysteriously disappear? Baldino acknowledges some corruption in his department in that era.
There was talk about individuals selling or using narcotics. There was talk about a burglary ring going on. There were also a couple of officers who were fired over a relationship with a 14-year-old girl.
At least one of those officers was questioned about his relationship with Darlene. Although Darlene was married, she often dated other men, especially cops. So was it possible that police were somehow involved in her death?
At the Farron Mageau shooting, the Zodiac approached with a flashlight, just like a cop would. And at the other Vallejo shooting, although it hadn't been made public before, a witness saw the perp's car just minutes before the shots rang out and described it as being dark-colored with no chrome, which is highly suggestive of an unmarked police vehicle.
That other Vallejo shooting was a double homicide. The victims, a high school couple, Betty Lou Jensen and David Faraday. As in the Farron Mageau attack, we have uncovered a possible motive for this supposedly random assault. The late John Lynch, a retired Vallejo detective, talked about victim Faraday.
This kid had found out somewhere or another that about some narcotics transaction that had taken place. And he was telling other kids about it, and they just eliminated him.
Arthur Allen has been the Vallejo Police Department's #1 suspect for more than 20 years, even though virtually no other agency involved believes he is the Zodiac.
I am not the Zodiac. I've never killed anyone.
There are other investigators who have built credible cases for other suspects, including former police officers. But no one in authority has seriously followed up on those potentially valuable leads, let alone travel the road that may end at police complicity. So until the official investigation switches to the issues of motive and other suspects, the star-crossed hunt for the Zodiac will continue.